I've asked people from my X account and other places to just join me 3 times a week. Ordinary South African guest, the inaugural guest of the show is Mr. Sean Barnard. He is in the Western Cape. Please pray for him. Sean, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, what made you want to even click on the link that says "Come join Ramon Cabernet for a live podcast"?
Well, okay. I could put it, stay-at-home dad for the time being due to circumstances, and I've been contemplating of entering the world, of maybe podcasting. So this is also new for me, a test for me to see, how I do. Yeah, and my thoughts in the right direction, or yeah, am
All
I,
right.
am I crazy?
You have to be crazy to do podcasting because there's no money in it unless some NGO funds you. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah, the thing is, there's so many things going on at the moment, internationally and especially locally as well, and I think personally that why I want to do it for me as a person is more people need to start talking about what's going on. I think people still rely too much on indoctrinating mainstream media, putting things out there, and then also influenced, influenced by the wrong politicians. I'm going to ask with you, especially after, for instance, when Helen Ziller announced her candidacy for Joburg Mayor. Looking at X, is it, for the life of me, I do not understand why people still want to vote for parties like the ANC, the MK, the EFF. In all honesty, I mean, are they so blind that they don't see what's going on around them? Or is it just plain ignorance or hatred? I don't know.
Well, it's very simple. As I keep saying, elections are a racial census, right? People will vote for people who are like them, who look like them, who think like them. That's how you build communities, right? That's how you build loyalty. And people keep saying, oh, we need to go past the race stuff. But no, most South Africans, black, white, Indian, colored, will vote for people who look like them, which is why the PA is so strong in the color communities, which is why MK is so strong in the Zulu communities, which is why the ANC is 98%, have black voters. It's a racial census, always has been, always will be. And that's the point of a democracy. It's not about the policies, it's not about the manifesto, it never was, never will be. But I don't know, maybe it'll change. But for now, it's a racial census. And you find that ANC people, if they don't trust the ANC, they just don't vote for anyone else. They just stay at home.
Well, I did a reverse calculation quite a while ago, and what I used was basically the last census, okay, and I
Mhm.
manually added, obviously they don't have an age group between 18 and 20, okay, so I worked basically from, the South African population, from Stats SA, on the ages between 20 and, well, 1 foot in the grave.
Right.
The last bracket is 80 plus. And we've got about, in that age bracket, about 40 million people. 40 million 200. Yeah. Anyway, and then when you go to the IEC website, okay, only about 27 million of those people are registered voters.
Correct.
Okay, and out of that 27 million, okay, only 58% reached up for the last elections.
Correct.
I mean, that's a huge amount of people that could have at least did one tick for any other party and could have made a difference in South Africa.
So is it a problem with the people or is it a problem with democracy? Right? If people don't believe in the system, why would they vote for it? Like, I don't vote. Right? I voted for myself once in 2019, and I voted once when I was 18 for the DA at a local government election because that's what everyone did, right? When I was there. But I don't vote. I don't particularly like political parties. I don't believe in the system of democracy as conceptualized in South Africa. So why should I partake in it?
Well, my view is, the same view. If you don't vote, you can't complain. At
At
least try to make a
wrong,
change. If you don't agree with
wrong.
all the parties, at least try to get
I,
the one as close as possible to one that you might agree with on,
I'm
on
gonna
on
fight
on
you
a
with this.
principle basis.
Sean, I'm sorry. I'm gonna fight you on this. I can, if I don't vote, I can complain about your vote. You partook in the system, so you must own it. Right? You partook in voting, so now you must own the election outcomes. I didn't partake, so I can moan as much as I want. You can't moan. You can't moan because you voted. What do you think of that argument?
But I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, I very rarely agree with all the politicians. The local government elections are coming up, and honestly, at this point, I don't know whether or not I want to vote.
Yeah, there we go. So you see, we all come back. Ramon, I'm always correct, like 10 years early. Later, everyone comes to my to my my side of the particular arguments. I mean, for the local government elections, it's very simple. I want Helen Zille to be mayor of Joburg. I live in Joburg. I've got 2 properties in Joburg. My whole family lives here. I want Joburg to be better, and I think Helen Zille can actually do that. So that's why I will be voting for Helen Zille going forward, despite the fact that I'm suing the DA for, for firing me unlawfully. But you can. I'm using the despite what I think about the entire party, I will gladly vote for someone who can make Joburg semi-efficient in some ways, right? I'm tired of replacing tires on my car. I replaced tires 3 times this year on my car due to potholes. All those little bullshit things I just want solved. I don't care about the ideology. I don't care about Gaza. I don't care about anything else. Just fix the basic stuff, and then it's fine. And I think Helen can do that. So that's why I'm voting for her.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I think I mean, I don't go to Joburg out of free will. Further than the Orange River is it's a stretch for me, and things are still working in the Western Cape. But I also think at this point we hold our politicians at higher standards than the rest of the country. And I had that in the past, especially when I complain on social media about things that's not working in my hometown. So, yeah, but it's a lot better than there and there and there. So yes, but we hold our politicians, we hold our the people that's running our town at higher standards, and according to our standard, we are used to. These things are still lacking in to better the town.
Yeah, but here's the thing about holding politicians accountable. I think the proportional system that we have makes that basically impossible. Right, the constituency system is much better for this. So back, I looked at a map of Joburg from the 70s, and it was basically Johannesburg was 4 different political regions, right? So you had the mayor of Randburg, and you had the mayor of like the West Rand, and the mayor of Boksburg, and all those sort of things. If you know where the mayor is, you can go there and burn down their house, right? But I don't know where the mayor of Johannesburg lives because it's a city of 10 million people with 1 mayor. So they got security
Yeah,
guards and big budgets, and I can't just go up to the office and talk to him about an issue, right? So we need to. So holding politicians accountable is actually very difficult in our system,
I
unless
think in
you
the
live
big
in a very small town.
yeah, see, that's the thing is, I think in the big cities, I don't even think you guys really know your ward councillor or where your ward councillors are staying.
Correct.
I have direct contact with your ward councillor. Where in the in the smaller communities, you have actually when you stay in that community, you have direct access, to that ward councillor. Or if like for instance, the West Coast consists of St Helena, Friedenberg, Paternoster, Saldanha, Langebaan, Hopefield. And these people is a couple of small communities, but your ward councillor live with you when you walk, see your ward councillor in the spa or in the streets, and you can discuss things with them.
Yeah.
So I think that makes politics a bit different in smaller towns, and perhaps also a bit more effective.
But I mean, should we actually care about politics, Sean? I mean, here's an argument for you. I don't think there is politics in South Africa, in the real sense of the term. I don't think there are different groups of people with wildly different views of what justice is, who are fighting each other on based on ideas. I think you have a group of people who are fairly mediocre and some downright morons vying for money at the end of the day. So there's no real politics per se. It's just another job for most people.
That's a question that came up, last I think a week or so ago. Is that, are they actually used for councillors and ministers, in local or national government? If I basically look, I've listened to some of your interviews after your departure, and then
Gotcha.
also,
I was fired, Sean. That's fine. You can say after my firing.
it's a bit of a soft blow.
It's not an airport, my friend. I was fired.
And I look with my dealings, with our local people. It is mainly based on administration.
Mm,
Um, yes, they are the voice between the people and the administration, but at the end of the day, the work is done by the administration,
yes,
and they are limited also in their powers. Um, for me, it's like, okay, I can promise this and this and this, and this is what we will do, and this is what we will do, and come election, you make your cross, and then when reality sinks in, they have absolutely or minimal control over the outcome of what they want to achieve. Um,
correct.
and
They're
also,
middle
if they want
managers.
to achieve it, the time frame to be able to achieve it is, all the red tape that they must go through, and by the end, the term is over, and then it's
Yeah,
time
I
for the
mean,
new one.
I agree. I mean, ward councillors and councillors in different areas of the country, I mean, they're basically sort of middle managers trying to coordinate between the people who do the work and the customers, right? So it's like they're basically customer complaints.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, but they have no power to actually fix something, right? So my ward councillor here, we have power outages and water outages all the time, but um, all I can say is I've phoned them, they say this. I phoned them, they apologize, but they'll do this now. But that's all it is, right? I want to get paid 40 grand just for calling people and just relaying the information. Like you like just a very highly paid, I don't know, like a virtual assistant. But there's no real
Yeah.
power. What we should do is actually just ignore the politics and just build whatever and don't ask for permission. I would think, right?
No, or ask the minister, say sorry later.
Oh, fuck the minister. Like, who cares? These people can't do anything. Like, I've been there, Sean. I've been there. I've seen how
Yeah.
the sausage is made, and it's rotten all the way through. There is no real excellence there at all.
Yeah.
So we need to stop thinking about politics in this way. It's like, oh, we can like achieve things through politics. I don't think we can. We can achieve things through community action, and we don't need to
I
ask for
agree with
permission.
you. I 100% agree with you there. I think if a community stands together, you build together, and the closer the
Correct.
community is, the better the town can operate. And the town
Absolutely.
I'm in, with all its faults and stuff like that, we still have a good functioning, very involved community, that make things happen.
So here's the thing about the Western Cape, right? Everyone's like, oh, the DA is doing so on the Western Cape. Yes, but why? The DA is in power because the people of the Western Cape choose for it to be in power. The Cape and the people of the Cape have always been different from the rest of the country, right?
Yeah.
So they have a different idea of what governance is. It's not an extractive mafia state like KZN or Gauteng or Northwest or Free State or any other, province. The people of the Western Cape are singularly different in terms of they know what type of governance they want, and the DA is the one that can do it for them. So I think people give a lot of credit to the DA, but the DA is beholden to the people that put it there, and those people have very high standards and know what they want. Am I making sense?
I agree with you 100%. Just to give some background, I grew up in Limpopo and Gauteng and Mpumalanga, but I've been longer in the Western Cape than that I was up there, and you can see very much a big difference, between the people, and also the way of living, between the Western Cape, and Gauteng,
Yeah,
and
it's a
other
different world.
provinces.
It's a different world. It's a different type of people. It's a different type of atmosphere. There's something that's very grounded in the Western Cape, and people that have been there for literally hundreds of years, and you can tell when you go there. You can't see that. Okay, you can see it in KZN, but it's like rondavels and things like that. But there's no sort of infrastructure. But the Western Cape, the people of the Western Cape have been there for centuries and stay there, and you notice it. There's a different vibe in the air.
Yeah, I've got a friend. He moved back to Joburg. You know, his businesses are up there. And he used to travel between the Cape and Gauteng. And he always, when he comes back, he says, "You guys, you live in a bubble."
Mm,
And I said, "Well, I'm very happy in my bubble. Thank you very much, and I'm working very hard on my side to keep it the bubble." you know,
that's what
I think
everyone in
the
the bubble says.
last time I was up in Gauteng was in 2018, and still have old school friends, to stay up there, and the way that they live, I can't see myself live that way. Sorry, it's like waking up in the morning, they're still sleeping. I want to make myself a cup of coffee, go and sit in the stoop, and have a smoke and just wake up. You can't do that. The whole house is between lock and key. It's You go back to your room, you wait until you hear some noise in the house, and you say, "Okay, now I need to open up this house for me." Where here it's completely different.
Yeah, well, I like Joburg a lot. So yesterday I went to go change a tire because we hit a pothole. So there's a very fancy petrol station, right? Very fancy. It's owned by Indians. Did you know the other petrol station called the Pantry? Have you heard of such things? Like the
No.
fanciest petrol station with like sourdough bread and shit like that, right? So the whites own that, the Jews own that, and then down the road
Yeah.
there's another one called Relish. This petrol station that's very fancy in Rosebank. It's owned by the Muslims. I get along with Muslims. So they do my tires there. It's a great petrol station and you can buy whatever you want. So I go to the tire shop in the petrol station, the fancy one, and there's two people outside, big Zulu guys with security badges carrying AR-15s outside the front of the shop of the tire shop. Inside, I go speak to Mohammed, who's a friend of mine, and Muhammad and I, we get along. Like the guy's like super nice guy. And he charges me money and I say, call him a racist because he puts the white tax on my tires and we laugh for 2 hours. And I speak to the security guard, like, what gun do you have? Oh, yeah, it's a DM4. Okay, great. Well, what about the Smith & Wesson? We talk about the guns. And it's just an ordinary anarchy that you can't find anywhere else, which I absolutely adore. And it's difficult to explain it to people. Like you see the degradation, you see the potholes, you see all the shit, and it gets to you sometimes. But there are these pockets of sort of excellence built up by Jews, by Muslims, by blacks, by whatever the case might be here in Johannesburg, where you feel like you are in a post-apocalyptic world where you got these little oases filled with awesome people that you can just do business with. I think it's difficult to explain if you're not a part of that. Like we understand the world is completely screwed. Well, Joburg is completely screwed, but it makes us even more able to preserve what we can, if that makes sense.
I think, my personal opinion, if people are just left alone, they will all get along eventually. Okay, they find each other. Know how to communicate with each other. And again, there comes the work of the politicians. I think the biggest dividers in this country are the politicians.
Sure, 100%
um,
agree.
and they are the big, how can I put it, the big agents of feeling, the racial tension, between the different classes and races in this country.
Completely. As I keep saying on this channel and in other areas, like 8 out of 10 South Africans agree on the same thing. They will vote differently, but because they believe their vote can achieve the things that we all agree on, like get a job, educate your children properly, have food on the table, that sort of stuff. I mean, some think taking away land from whites will give them a job, right? Or something expropriation is fantastic, or something the NHI will put food on the table. So we have different ideas on how to achieve those goals, right? But as long as we agree on the goals, we're already sort of 60% of the way there, I would say. It would be nice to have a proper, pragmatic, populist, right wing party, non racial, that just comes out and says, listen, We're going to solve crime. You're going to get a job, and we're going to just, make sure that your children are better off than you are. It'd be so great to have one of those parties, but we just don't for some reason.
I think we need more conservative parties among the black voters
Mm.
to move away from, the currently the three, big, left, far right or far left, leaning political parties. I
Yeah,
think our key, for real success, in South Africa is conservatism among all the races,
all the tribes.
um,
Yeah, agreed.
all the
And I
tribes.
think they are conservative as well. Like, I don't think we have to change anyone's mind on what the fundamental values or virtues are, right? I just think there hasn't been a vector or a party that expresses that in a way that everyone understands.
Then shouldn't we go back to tribalism?
Oh,
Um,
but yeah,
I
it's
mean,
called. Well, good. Sorry.
if you look, and this is just a theory that I'm still working out, okay? But the Rainbow Nation destroyed the heritage of South Africans, um, in a sense
Well, I
of,
mean, yeah,
it's like, they're pushing the Rainbow Nation narrative. Uh, I think that they're starting to forget who they were. I think if you go to traditional Zulus,
yes.
conservative, very proud nation. Okay, same with the Xhosas, the Vendas, and and with moving with time, they tend to lose that background.
Yeah,
The foundation
the
of
yes.
who they really are, and if we can bring that back, I think we can all get along.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think the Rainbow Nation did that, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, apartheid killed off heritage, black heritage, like dramatically, right? Through the social engineering and the Group Errors Act and the forced removals and all that shit. Like, you can't have homelands for people, but they can't work in them. Like, the men have to go somewhere else to work to send money back to. Like, it creates a dependency that destroys heritage and destroys identity. So, and then the Rainbow Nation is the final nail of the coffin. So I agree with you in that regard. I agree with you in that regard. Like, if you strip away everyone's identity and now we're all like constitutional liberal South Africans. No, we're not. Never have been, never will be. Right?
No,
It's a fiction.
no, no,
It's a
no,
complete
no, no.
fiction.
I agree with you 100% there. Um,
But I think the solution might be, Sean, and I'm sorry for interrupting, is that the more the state loses power, as they're doing right now, I think people are going to go back to balkanization in terms of we're going to find out what actually matters the most. And hopefully, for 99% of the country, it's going to be, well, back to tradition, back to what we know, back to what the ancestors say, back to what our grandfathers and great grandfathers built for us. The Afrikaners can do it, the Zulus can do it. I think all the tribes can do it, the Indians as well. So I'm hoping that is a repercussion or a consequence of the nation state losing so much power as it is currently doing.
I agree with you 100%.
Ex-
Yeah, no, no. If it's, that they went, and they started dictating, the schools. I mean, now they want to dictate, the churches.
Yep.
They must register, to be a religious leader. I think that's a new thing that came up now in the last couple of days. If you take, again, what I said to you, if you let people just be, they will sort themselves out in the most peaceful way. Um, and we all know, overregulation, signs of a socialist communist state.
Yep.
They want to tell you how you must live and how you must think and how you must act, and people aren't that way. We weren't built
Yeah.
that way.
No. I remember I went to KZN 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I went to a church in KZN, right? But it was built by Germans. Um, it's called Quasi Sabantu. It was in the news for being like, I think the news was fake, but anyway. And I went there. It's in the heart of KZN, near Kranskop in KZN. And Ulundi is like an hour away, which is the head of the Zulu house, royal household. Jacob Zuma attended this church. I didn't see him there when I was there, but he was in attendance in the church. And so you had these German, European stock who created the church in 1964 as a vision from Christ to bring Christ to the Zulu people, and they speak Zulu like straight down the line. Like it was so amazing to see how this Christian mission created this order in a place that's just fellow. It's just it's the Zulu rural areas. There's nothing else going on there, but you have this church, 10,000 seats church, huge. You got this Christian mission with houses and a private airstrip and a factory and farming, and they make lots of money from farming and all these sort of things. But there was no antagonism whatsoever. And I asked the guy, so the guy who runs it, the guy called Dirk, a white guy, and I said, Afrikaans guy, and I said, Dirk, what happened during the July riots? Because this was like in the heartland of KZN, the July riots
Yeah.
happened. And he said, so Zuma sent through his militia, ANC sent through their militia, the EFF sent through their militia, the taxi drivers encircled the entire Christian mission, and they basically just shot anyone who tried to get in. So they're protecting like a white monopoly, whatever, farm and factory that employs thousands of people. They all speak Zulu, and all like the black leaders just came in and defended it against like rioters. That's
Yeah.
a South
Yeah.
African story, right?
Again, as I said to you, I could put it very nicely. They know what that institution is worth to them. So it's worth protecting. Okay.
Yes.
And protecting it from outside influences that, I mean, obviously, that church, say with the factory, that is creating jobs. Okay. And creating jobs is creating worth for people.
Correct.
If you don't have a job, you sit around, you're getting into depression, you're getting, you feel worthless. And, and then you get an institution like that, creating jobs and say, okay, well, this is where I want to be. This is worth protecting.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think that we need more of that feeling of belonging to something, right? And I don't think we see it. I think there's too much sort of ephemeral feelings about what we should be feeling. No, just pledge loyalty to your work, to your family, to your church, to your community. Help those that you can around you. It's not that complicated. I don't think it should be that complicated at all. And I think if you do create centers of order around the country, I think people naturally gravitate to it. And I see it all the time. I've traveled this country so many times. Northern Cape, I go hunting there. You speak to the farm workers, right? I mean, they've been there for 5 generations, right? And they will find a poacher, and that poacher will never be seen again, or a stock thief, right? I mean, it's the farm workers that catch these people and do things to them that I can't mention on stream. But there's a real sense that, but there's a real sense that, like, the most important thing is not the individual. The most important thing is the sense of order within this place. And anyone who tries to come in must be dealt with. Anyone from the farm lad to the maid to the farm worker to the gardener to the farm manager, everyone's on the same page about how to deal with that. I wish we could have that at a national level somehow.
Yeah, it would take a long time for that to happen. And again, politicians indoctrinating people is making these what you're talking about a lot more difficult to accomplish.
Yeah, but I think they're dying out now. I think the hard left is dying out politically. ANC's on its last legs. I see they attached like all the desks and computers in the Twilly house for a debt that no one wants to pay. The DA is globalist, liberal. I don't know if it's even better than the ANC, if I'm honest. But I think with this political power is dying out completely. And what will determine the future of a region in South Africa is the capital, the infrastructure, and the people. So if you live in the middle of the Eastern Cape or you live in East London, like, good luck to you, because there's nothing there, right? The gangs will take over. But if you live in Cape Town or you live in parts of Joburg, or if you live in Pretoria you got the Afrikaners building all sorts of things. If you got small towns in the Western Cape, like where you are, I think there's a big community support group. Like, those are the places that will do really well, and those that are not organized just won't.
So just getting my thoughts on that, on what you just said there. But I agree with you. I agree with you. And also, as I said before, building a sense of community. We've got a sense of community, and the community can support each other. Doesn't matter your race. We all get along. It's just to get away from, again, the race baiters, because that's the division.
Yeah, I mean, should we ignore the race? I don't think we can. Like, I believe that a few years ago, but now I think people just like that's all they want to recognize is the race, and I think we should just do it. I don't know in what way, and maybe I'm not articulating this very well, but yeah,
Acknowledge you're a Zulu and respect the fact you're a Zulu and your
yeah,
traditions, and
yes,
respect that I'm Afrikaner, and we all can get along. You can come to me and we listen to Boer Orchestra and Braaivleis, and I come to you, and we, yeah.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
I think
completely.
let's just appreciate the race and the culture. Don't act like it's just a person who has an idea. Like, no, this is a real person with a history, with the ethnicity, with the religion. We should appreciate who they are as that, not just an economic cog in an economy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing that is also, a big divide, that is classism and education. And these are things, that I've experienced. I had a business, and I had great people that worked for me.
Yeah,
But up to a certain, education level, it is, you're going to have problems. In the area where I stay, I've got, colored neighbors, I've got black neighbors, and I get along with them all.
sure.
But across this, and there are absolutely no issues between us. And because we believe in the same thing, we want to keep our community clean, we want to keep our community safe, and in working order.
Yeah.
But
And I think a lot of people in the same class would agree on that very thing. My suburb as well.
yeah,
It's becoming very Indian. It was very Jewish 20, 30 years ago. Now it's becoming very Indian. And I love it because the Indians have money and love guns. So it's like fantastic. We get along. There's no riot that's going to happen in my place. These Indians are going to come out with who knows what firearms from the Boer War.
yeah, yeah. But if you go, but then you go again, go to the poorer communities, and you go, and see what's going on there. It's messy. It's littered all, all over. Yeah, I think that is one of the big issues, that you need to get around is the education and upliftment of people in those areas.
But I think it's also I think it's
In a
also a
matter that they
culture.
want to be uplifted, because not all of them want to be uplifted. They are happy where they are in how they live.
Yeah, here's the thing about poor communities, and not just here, but everywhere. There's good psychology behind this in terms of if you are poor, you have something called a short time preference, right? So, short time preference is we need to do things now. Like, there's no concept of saving for the future or building for the future because things are so dire. I need 150 Rand today. You will do whatever you can to get 150 Rand today to buy food for your family or whatever the case might be. But
Yeah,
that short term thinking, that time preference creates a very untrusting society. It's a very low trust society. So people just fuck each other all the time, right? Whereas where you live and where I live, I've got a house, it's in my name, I own it, I've got thankfully some money, I've got a car. These things are important to me and I'll protect them. But so has everyone else around me. They also got a house, they also got a car, they also got something worth protecting. So it's much easier to meet and say, okay, cool, we're going to protect these things that we've built up.
yeah,
In a poor community, there's not much things to protect, so to speak. So it creates a very low trust society. So I think naturally that will die out the richer people get, right? So we just need economic growth to sort that out for the most part.
yeah. And that's by creating jobs. And that's why I said earlier, creating jobs creates self-worth. And if you have a house, you feel a sense of ownership.
Correct.
And that's why I agree with you. If you live in a shack, there's no sense of ownership. I mean, it's a shack.
Yeah.
So why would you care? How it looks around you. Um,
But I also wonder how much of these sort of poor neighborhoods, poor communities, how many of them are actually foreign immigrants? Right. Just for an example, here in Joburg, there are parks, public parks, right? And there are people sleeping in those things. They build these fucking shacks in the middle of the park. And if you go up to them and you actually speak to them, like, there's very few that are South African. Very few. And I speak to private security guys. I know a lot of people in the security industry here. So we speak about zamazamas and kidnapping rings and crime rings. Right, according to them, there's like 85% foreign. There's no local guys. Very few.
I have a big problem with especially illegal immigrants in this country, coming from our neighboring countries. I personally think that they are actually taking away the labor market they are bringing with. We already have in abundance. Okay.
Correct.
And if you look, what's going up in your area, northern provinces, with this operation, what Dudula.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's bound to happen, and that is because again, the state wants to control anything, but they didn't control that. And these people
Yeah.
come in and they literally take their jobs because they are willing to work for a lot less than the other people, and they are taking over communities. If I look here in where I'm staying, the amount of foreigners that came in just in the last 8 years is tremendous. Where they're standing at the local shops, day workers and things like that. That that didn't exist, say, 10 years ago in this town.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for
And,
me,
and
it is worrying, and it's very in your face.
but I'm just wondering, right, if we sort of mischaracterize what's happening, and I've got no real evidence to support this, but I do feel like a lot of the issues we face is created by illegal immigrants, from the crime rings to the scams to sort of the unemployment rates, undocumented labor, the shacks. If you have 2, 3, 4, 5 million Zimbabweans coming over the course of 10 years, where are these people going to live? They're not. They're going to build stuff somewhere, or they're going to take over something somewhere. Like, I don't know. I wish I had stats, but we don't have it in this country. I wish we had stats about how many legal immigrants there are, how do they live, what do they earn, how do they earn their money, and like, we can sort out the problem. Like, I think illegal immigration is a massive issue that we don't really know the full story about.
I think if you go and you take all the foreign, or all the illegal immigrants at once, and you deport them back to Zimbabwe and Mozambique and those places, our squatter camps is going to be a lot more emptier. Um,
Yes, correct.
and it's going to the infrastructure, or the pressure on the infrastructure, is basically going to disappear overnight. That's my opinion.
Mine too. Dude, I live in Johannesburg, right? Hillbrow and all that is not too far. It's about 3, 4, 5 kilometers away from me. I would struggle to find a South African if I walked down the streets in Hillbrow or Yeovil or anywhere in the CBD. I would say at least 50% of Joburg in the CBD, at least 50% are illegal foreigners. And that I'm certain of that.
The other thing regarding the illegal foreigners, and even if they come in for work, on a working visa, or study visa, and they earn some money here. Okay, that is, and if you haven't run a business in a small town, I don't think you really understand, the importance of keeping the money as long as possible in your town. Okay.
Yeah.
let the money circulate to build your own community. And with these people coming in, very little is spent at your local businesses, promoting your local businesses. They are willing to stay in hockey, or, we have situations here where there are 30 people staying in a family home. And they are willing to work like that because they've got their houses, in their own country. And most of the
Correct.
money that they earn here is straight going out of the country. So
Yeah.
nothing is being reinvested within South Africa.
Correct.
And for me, it's the same with the Somali spaza shops, the Pakistani shops, in our areas. That is money that is, if you look at the poorer communities, that is government money that is spent at those shops. Okay, that's not being reintroduced back into that economy. That money is just going out of the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. You're completely right.
Just making the
And then we
country
wonder why people are getting poorer. Why are we not developing? Well, because all the money is being sucked out by these
exactly.
extractive
And
groups.
I mean, that Somali shop. Why can't a Xhosa or a Zulu or a Khalid or own a shop like that? I mean,
And if you
and
look,
employ local people.
yeah, if you look at other,
Um,
if you look at other, sorry to interrupt, but if you look at other African countries, that's what they do. Botswana, you can't own a spaza shop if you're not Botswanan, right? Same with Namibia. Same with, I believe there's Uganda and Angola and Rwanda and Nigeria even. You have to be a Nigerian. You have to be a proper citizen to operate within these industries. Meanwhile, here in
exactly.
South Africa, it's like a free for all, and then you get a bailout of 500 million rand for COVID to spaza shop owners. How much of the money was given to foreign illegal immigrants to send back to Somalia? Half of it? More?
No,
That's
I think it was.
crazy.
I think it's way more. I think it's way
Yeah.
more. I mean, as I said, they are willing, to have their South African living conditions be very basic, so that they can ship the money over to family members in other countries, where they're originally from. And I I have a big problem with that. I really it sounds sometimes you say, I try as far as possible. I do not enter those shops. I will
Mm.
stand outside, okay, but I won't as far as I can. Unless it's like late on a Sunday, and that's the only place open, and I'm really looking for something, and and they might still be open. I will go in there, but further than that, I really, it's as I said, you won't understand if before you did business, and lived in a small town. Same with these 350, these 370 rands, that's that was introduced during COVID. I understand if you don't have money, 370 might help, for maybe a day if you're really clever, 2 days. But also did that calculation. It's costing the government a month 6.5 billion rand. The last calculation I did, just for 370s, for people. And I don't know if that 370 is actually going to just South Africans. I don't know how many foreigners is getting that 370. And again, that 6.5 billion, where's it spent? Mostly probably at your local spaza shop. So
Yep.
again, just for that, it's 6.5 billion.
Repatriated.
Yeah,
Yep.
6.5 billion a month that is not spent in the local economy.
It's such a good point, and I didn't even think about it. That's a great point.
And
Yeah.
and also, you don't see this really in the mainstream media. You see this more on videos on X, how these spaza shop factories are being uncovered, mostly they're in your area,
Yep.
where they counterfeit Coca-Cola, the one that I saw. They have their own factory operations within the society, so it's not like they go to Macro or these places and go and buy stock. Or they have like a buyers group between them, and they go to Tiger Brands and buy in bulk,
No.
goods for the smaller shops.
They import slaves, pay them nothing, and make fake stuff. to sell to South Africans. I mean, it's treasonous, eh? I mean, the more you think
Yeah,
about it, the more it's like insane that this is
it's
happening.
insane. It's just a lot of money, and this 6.5 billion I'm talking about, a month is just in the 370 grants. That's
Yeah,
not even the others, social grants that are given, to the people. I mean, again, where is that money really spent?
yeah. It's a very good point, Sean. So listen, we have a few minutes left, 15 minutes. I want to bring in the audience. Guys, if you're watching, thank you for watching. I have been ignoring you. I do apologize. But I did find Sean's conversation quite interesting, so I wanted to continue. Please drop some questions you have for me or Sean, or ideas, or whatever you want, and we're more than happy to answer them and speak about it with you. I want this to be more of an interactive show than normal. So please feel free to yeah, just participate. If you want to chat, just note you have to be a subscriber. So please do subscribe if that happens. So Sean, a lot of people will look at you and be like, "Why is this guy still here? Do you have any plans to like to immigrate or go somewhere else in the world, or you are like sticking it here?"
No, I've no plans to immigrate. Immediate plans. If I do get opportunity, I will go and take it in some dollars but I mean, that's not is in my framework. I
Right.
am very patriotic. I've never left the country. I've never even been to Namibia or Botswana or those
Really?
places. No, I have no desire. They've been talking about going overseas and things like that. My question normally is, have you ever been to Pofadder? Do you know what Pofadder looks like?
I do,
And they said to
yes.
me, no. I say again.
Yeah. I had this conversation with someone who moved to Australia, right? They lived in Joburg, and like, oh, we moved to Australia. I said, have you been to Paris? No. Like you don't even go visit your country 100 kilometers away, but you're moving 10,000 kilometers away because of shit. You don't even know what you're leaving. That's crazy.
It's not, so I would rather, one of my dreams is, get a fully kitted landy or cruiser, and for a week holiday in the school holidays, you go cruise, the Northern Cape. Or I want to show, as I said to you, I grew up in Limpopo and Mpumalanga and those places, and like places like Hazy View and God's Window, and those places are absolutely, it's breathtaking. I don't think a place like that exists anywhere in the world.
Correct.
Go and see that, experience that. It's like, why gotten overseas the whole time. One of my favorite jokes is, I've been overseas once, and that was to Robben Island. Um,
So someone has a question for you. They said that you would qualify to enter the US as a footsacker, as a refugee. Would you
you
ever take
know
that up?
what? I again, I was when that the whole thing was announced. I was very torn. Okay.
Mm,
Sorry, means like I want to stay here. I want to fight. I want to make this place better. Not just for me and my family, but for the whole of South Africa. And I had my reservations about it, but at the end I realized I can't talk. I don't know what's going on in small free state towns. What's going. So as I said earlier, I stay in a bubble. I love my
mm.
bubble, so I can't say or talk on behalf of those people and what they are going through. Personally, I think it's a lot more economic, which is also fair. Um, but I think there are communities in this country that. But yeah, I have no aspirations, to participate in the program. If I do go over, I'll go there on my own steam, and it
Mm.
won't be on a permanent basis.
Yeah.
But that
No,
will always be my hope.
I, I think we both would be happy with people moving overseas for work purposes, or like a 5-year contract or 2-year contract, and then hopefully coming back with more money and they can build their lives in a better place than 5 years ago. Like, I think that's perfectly fair. But
Yeah,
the same as you, I
yeah.
have no interest in leaving. I went to Europe this year. I got to Europe often because I got family, and it's just yeah. So I could have kissed the border guard when I came back to Orotambo. like a beautiful, beautiful black lady, full of makeup, just like I was like, oh, I left for 3 weeks. I could kiss you right now. And she's like, ooh, not today. I'm like, yeah, I know. I promise I won't. But I was just so happy to be back.
Yeah, as I said to you earlier, my wife currently works abroad, and I sometimes get a bit jealous because she's seeing places and she talks about things, but also I experience the world through her cell phone.
Yeah.
So I'll go over for a visit or for a for a short time. But permanently, I've got no aspirations.
Yeah, exactly the same as me. All right, everyone, come on, post those questions. We've got about 5 minutes left. We're happy to answer anything you might want to ask from Sean or from myself. So someone says deporting illegal immigrants would be nothing without border security. Yes, of course, that goes without saying. Ironically enough, Leon Schreiber, the current Minister of Home Affairs, is like I think in the top 5 countries for deportations. I think we've deported like 50,000 people already, which is very good, but they're going to come back tomorrow very easily because there's a chicken fence between the countries. So it'd be good to just build a proper wall. But I think, ironically, Leon Schreiber is actually doing a much better job at curbing illegal immigrants than any of his predecessors, which is odd from a liberal DA, but I'll take the win.
Yeah, I think they must put it maybe into second gear to see a real. I think there are so many of them. You're talking about 50,000 illegal immigrants already been deported. I don't think it's even a
I know.
dent in the bucket.
No,
Um,
no, no. We need much more. We need an ICE. We need a new department of ICE, like in America. We just make memes and you pay people lots of money, like just to go and arrest. I would join in a heartbeat, man. It's so much fun.
but again, that's why I keep a very close tabs, South African politics and especially the American politics. And for the life of me, I can't imagine why people are so against it. Why like uh, 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 they want to allow it to happen. That these people come in because, especially the amount of pressure it's sitting in your infrastructure that is not being built to handle basically overnight. I
because
think it's
because these
ridiculous.
the people that support this hate you. They hate me. They hate the concept of a nation state. They want to impoverish it. They want to make sure that um, there are low trust societies everywhere, and they want to destroy civilization and where it works so that they can remain in power forever and then just work on grants from globalists. I mean, that's all it is. It's a hatred of people. It's not the love of immigrants, it's a hatred of countries and people and history and ethnicities and whatever the case might be. And that's it. I think they're the most evil, malicious, malevolent people around. And I really hope Trump roots them out through the NGO networks. But it's really a hate of things that people have built over centuries. And yeah, these
You know,
people should be in
but
prison
it's
and
a
not
hatred
work.
so much, that this is like this permanent slayer across their eyes, that they can't see, the long term effects, of what's happening now.
No, but there you
Um,
go. You see, with respect, Sean, I think you're still thinking these are good people who are misguided. I think they're evil and doing it on purpose.
I don't think I think they are definitely misguided.
No,
I
they're
actually think
evil. No,
hey,
no, they're evil. They're evil.
um,
They're not misguided. They're not good. They're evil, and they want to do this to you and to our
in the name
country and to every other
in the name of
country.
being good.
Yes, yeah, under bullshit pretenses. But anyway, so which is the most beautiful province, Sean? Matt says KZN, and someone else said the Western Cape. Which, well, you live in the Western Cape, so I suppose I know what you're going to say.
You know what? I knew KZN as a picky. My mother had family staying there in Pinetown, and went there from time to time. I think the last rugby tour I had while we were still staying in up there by near you guys was in 2020. And I think again, KZN, beautiful country. I think it's mismanaged at this point. I don't. I've been last time I've been to KZN was in 2013, 2012, and it wasn't the KZN I knew as a kid. Um, and then
Hmm.
obviously I think the Western Cape, yeah, by far better.
By are better. I would love to have a farm in the Midlands, but it's just not safe enough.
Except for the wind. Even though I've been staying in the Western Cape for what's now 25 years, the wind still gets me the most of the time, especially here in the West Coast. The wind picks coming up. I start closing windows and doors and try to stay indoors.
That's a nightmare. If you had to move to a city, which one would you move to?
Cape Town.
Ach, no, man. Rechtig.
But on the outside, well, I mean, I love Cape Town. I mean, I finished high school in the city centre. I worked for many years in the city centre, and I personally believe that Cape Town city centre is still, being in Joburg city, say from 2000 up to now. I've been in all the city centres: Bloemfontein, Pretoria, Johannesburg, Durban, Port Elizabeth, and Cape Town. And by far, Cape Town city centre is, I think, the safest and cleanest city centre. I haven't been to the other cities in quite a while. As I said, I live, and yeah, I think it's still operating, and it's safe. And also, if you walk through Cape Town city centre, there's like this vibe, this buzz, around you, almost feel like you're in another country.
It's called tick.
After 5.
Okay, very good. I'll have to go before 5. Okay, so unfortunately we have to end the stream. We run out of time, but there's one last question, Sean, and this is the most important one you'll ever have to answer. Okay.
Yes.
And you better choose and think about it very importantly. It's very important. Come on, which one?
Well, the thing is, Ranger. Just because
we're ending the stream right now. Thanks, everyone.
Because of most of the Bilbo supporters all drive Hilux and Cruisers.
And what do the Stormers drive? Like hybrid Priuses or what? What do the Stormers people drive? Hybrid.
No, actually. Maybe we drive Rangers. I think most of us.
Rangers are shit. Toyota all day, every day. And
no, I'll tell you one thing. I haven't had a Bakkie in quite a while. The last Bakkie I had was a Nissan, and no.
No, don't go for Nissan.
No?
Don't go for Nissan. All right, no. Sean, can I just say thank you for joining me as the very first guest of the Ordinary People podcast. I really had a good time. I hope you did too. I know that you're a bit nervous, but you could tell, hopefully, that it's not that bad, right?
No, it's not. Maybe you can do it sometime again.
Yeah, to make a booking. For those who might want to join me, just check the description of this video and book a slot, and we can go live just like this, as we did with Sean. So, Sean, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. To everyone watching,
thank you for having me.
Only a pleasure. To anyone watching, thank you very much. Join me tomorrow. I think we booked out for the rest of the week. I'm actually surprised how many people want to join me for these things. But yeah, so join me tomorrow. There's another one, and the day after that, and the whole of next week. And I think I've got 16 lined up at the moment. So please do subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you all on the other side. Have a good one. Cheers.